Hello and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be depotting and then creating a magnetic palette in this small Morphe palette. This is the Morphe 12MB. This is actually my one palette 1 month palette at the moment for December, and I have decided that I think I will get more use out of these shadows if I depot them, because I really like and use all of these shades, but these 6 are just a bit more pointless to me, and I've been using these 2 shades in my eyebrows, so I feel like it'd be quite useful to have them as single shades, so that once the 1 month 1 palette is over I can then just put them in my 9 pan. I was using this shade, but I actually think it looks nicer with this shade in them, as it's just kind of looks like more of a shadow rather than filling them in thick. But I think as I get more tanned I will need a darker shade. So I think that using this palette this month and focusing on it has really made me realise I think I prefer these as individual shadows. So that's what we're going to be doing today. And don't worry, I'm going to keep them all in here until I have done with my 1 month 1 palette with them, because I do want to see how much use I can get, and I really think I might be able to hit pan on this shade. So that's another reason I kind of want to get them out to see how close I am. But yeah, if you want to see that, then keep on watching. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing, and let's get started. So to begin with, I've got my scissors, nail scissors and craft knife that I'm going to try and take up this plastic insert with, and then I'll be able to see how these shadows are glued in. The majority of the glue was definitely stuck down underneath this shade. I'm not sure how well glued in these are to the actual plastic bit. There we go, I managed to get this one out. I don't think they are that well glued in at all, so I'm now going to take them all out of this. Okay, so they're all out. I've actually got cracks in all of these 3. I think I'm just gonna smooth them out. I think this one cracked because it's got more of a dip in it, but I forgot to press record, but I just put some rubbing alcohol into these because they had cracks in them, and I prefer to do it now while they're just cracks rather than wait for it to completely shatter in the palette. I don't know if you'll be able to see, but I don't have as much room in this one as the other one, because the other Morphe palette had a dip in the lid. So I'm going to have to see whether once I've stuck the magnetic sheet in, whether these will then sit on top of that with then whatever backing I decide. I might have to use the magnet backing on these eyeshadows just so that I can still store these in here. But I'm going to set the shadows aside, and I'm going to super glue a piece of magnet into the bottom of this. Right, so I've glued down the magnetic backing. Unfortunately, I let some of the glue seep out of the edges, and then I tried to wipe it away and I just smeared it all over. But it still works fine, and I've checked the height to see whether I can put my normal backing onto these, and I think it should be fine. These pans are slightly deeper than my other singles though, so hopefully it'll fit. So I'm going to try with one, and then hopefully I will be able to do it for all of the others. Yeah, they fit fine, so I'm going to put magnets on the back of all of these. The glue's completely dried now. I accidentally cut too many of these. For some reason I thought it was a £15 palette, but it's only a £12 palette, and as you can see they're all in there. They're not gonna fall out, and I'm really glad with how this turned out. I could definitely fit more in here, but I quite like having them centralised, and I definitely could move them over and see, could I fit a, and I can actually fit full-sized round pans in here. How many could I fit? Could I fit 3? Would this solve the issues I was having with this palette? I can now fit, I've just taken these out of my build your own palette that I made for December. If you want to see that, it will be linked down below. But as you can actually see, I could actually solve the issues I had with this palette and keep it exactly the same. I could just pick a couple of shiny lid colours, light lid colours in here, and then that would solve all the issues that I was having with this palette of it not having shiny enough shades. Because if I swatch that shade versus this shade, you can just see how much more metallic and reflective this Colourpop shadow is compared to the Morphe shadow. So I'm really glad with how this turned out. I really didn't think that I'd be able to fit another whole row of eyeshadows in, and I'm really glad to have all these matte singles, because now I really don't need to purchase any. That's the one thing that doing this to some of my palettes has made me realise. I don't need to go out and buy loads of singles to create a big singles collection. Like, looking in here, this is the palette I've made. These are all my Colourpop ones, but these two could have easily been these two or these two shades out of this palette, or even these two. Look, there you go. And then that was 2 shades that I didn't really need to buy, did I? But by turning the actual palette magnetic and I'm keeping all of the outer packaging. I'm not going to do this to any of my palettes where I couldn't do this. So say a naked palette, there's just no point. I would do it to my other Morphe palettes, but they've got the hard plastic and I just don't think it's worth ruining a nice palette for it. I felt confident in my abilities to do this palette, my other bigger Morphe palette and my Beauty Bay palette, but I don't want to do it to palettes that means I would destroy them and I probably wouldn't then use them. If you want to see a video, I think I'm going to do a video in the future going through what one of my palettes are magnetised, because obviously, like my Colourpop palette, these shades are actually magnetised and I can take them out. And there are a couple of others in my collection that I have that are like that. So if you want to see a video of that, please let me know down below. If you enjoyed this, also please let me know down below by giving it a like and subscribing. I don't think I'll be doing this to any more of my eyeshadow palettes for now. I think this will be the last one in a while, but you never know, in the future there might be a palette I acquire that I feel like I could do this to. So, and if you did enjoy this video and you want more of this type of content right now, I will link in the cards and in my bio. I have a video where I do this to a big Morphe palette, a £35 palette, and also me doing it to a Beauty Bay palette. and that one's a bit more intricate because I have to cut out the cardboard, and it's doing it to a cardboard palette, so it's a bit different to this one. And then if you just like general depotting videos, I've also got a depotting video, so I will link all of them for you guys. Thank you for watching.